It's about 1:30 on Saturday, February 10th. I can see silver and gold linings behind the clouds today. Boy. It's interesting how we can use generalizing terms about people, persons, and entities that can cast such dispersions of mistruths and misinformations. There are those who would absolutely testify that I'm nuts, I'm insane. And based on their limited bandwidth and the propaganda they've been filled with, I would have the same conclusion. In some regards, I would also agree with them on a broad glazing term, because most sane individuals would not risk everything for complete strangers and put their ass on the line. At least not I know. My dearest friends of years have either abandoned me as insane, someone who flew past the cuckoo's nest. I'm not sure they think I've even landed yet. And those who were only using me for my contacts and what information they could garner. I'm really trying to use choice words here. They're not the words that Kurt would normally use if he was truly being expressive, but because not all people are forgiving. Yeah, right here. And are quick to judge. We'll try and keep it as PG as possible. It's interesting how we as people, as a whole, are so quick to judge others based on predispositions of faith, politics, creed, secret organizations, or whatever. I would agree with those that say Kurt is nuts, because in hindsight, there was never an easy way to do this. And anyone I know would have bailed a long frickin' time ago to save their own ass. It's not to say I'm better than and they're less than. It's not to say I'm a hero and they're a loser. It's not to say any of that. It's not about that. See, I look at... Some people think I'm so myopic I get caught in the minutiae of every detail. That is so far from untrue. I'm a perfectionist, so I can see the minutiae and the minute detail of things that I'm creating, but also I see a greater picture from infinity to infinity that most people don't expand their mind to see. This is not self-delusion, this is not grandeur, this is not anything you might think it is. Most humans use only a fraction other capabilities and mental powers, sensory perceptions, extrasensory perceptions, abilities to see past and futures by the chaos and bombardment and information overload of today's society. There are some who are able to isolate from that better than others by either going off grid or just shutting it all down. But in doing that, they also lose information that if you have the ability to decipher and filter and cipher through the plethora of minutiae bullshit that's on the information overload society, you can get beyond myopia. In the greater picture, in the grand scheme of why Kurt is a nut to most, or insane, or genius, or gifted, or challenged, or whatever you would like to cast upon me, I look at infinity from all time being parallel, beginning, middle, end, and all happening simultaneously. Most people have problems even being in the moment due to ADD, the voices in their head, self-delusion, self-grandeur, pomposity, assiosity, stupidity, or whatever. For a blessed few who can mitigate the treachery of all of that, and who can maneuver through what some would say is treachery of the unknown, and venture beyond all of that, there's a far greater purpose. From infinity to infinity, I don't ever want to have to look at time and say, I sold out those because of preservation of self. I knew these things were going to happen and were wrong, and I kept mute about them because it was in my best interest for self-preservation. And I have always been of the belief since childhood, when it's my time, it's my time. Regardless of how I may take the best precautions, the best securities, the best health, the best anything. Reality sets in. And for those who have not been able to comprehend what I'm talking about or thinking I'm psychobabbling, it's because of the bombardment of information overload you've been seduced, manipulated with through the CERN project. If you look at it, CERN, the CERN project run by my government, the CIA, for mind control and manipulation. HAARP, HAARP.net, has met natural weather since this incarnation of me on the planet in May 31st, 1959. This is Extinction 6. So, take a journey with me for a second. Envision a new story maybe you've never thought of, never visualized, never been introduced to, never have been told. You've heard about, certain cults and organizations, The Secret and the Keys to Success and the Ark of the Covenant, or so many other heralded things through societies and ages and arts and preservations of religions and cultures and governments and whatever. Isn't it interesting that we base a lot of things on history? His story. His story, the victor's story. No one ever puts the loser side in of how there was this or that or the other. And sometimes it is needless excuses, so really, what's to be benefited from telling how we lost because we couldn't get our stuff together? However, there are those tales of those who had their stuff together and were sold out from within. Kind of like the Communist Manifesto has always predicted that they would take over the United States. It wouldn't be by war, necessarily. It would be by the own moral decay of the New World Society, which has been more than self-evident. We used to be the brightest on the edge, go get them. Allegedly doing the right thing. The concept was good. The execution has been worse than brutal bad acting. Politicians are some of the shittiest actors on the planet, and yet some great actors have also become politicians to try and lend some credibility to that art. The Creator didn't create labels for itself, like God, the Yahweh, Buddha, Allah, Jesus Christ, whatever. That's all history. Somebody wrote this shit for you to follow and believe in. Oh my God, he said that word. Well, get over it. You all do it every day. And if you don't see a doctor, your proctologist would probably like to talk to you about that. I think you need to get over being in judgment right now and open your mind, or you will totally miss the concept here. The greater picture from infinity to infinity, boys and girls, according to Google, NSA, I've been on their beta team since the beginning. And I'm not breaching national security by saying that. I'm from Michigan, by the way, right here. Right, Sheboygan, right tip of Michigan. That's researchable, statistical, factual. So let's get over it. And by the way, that word you all cringe over, the F word, the F-bomb that you do use and then tell your children not to use, you self-righteous prima donnas. You can thank the Catholic Church for that. Fornication under cardinal knowledge is an acronym like FBI or CIA. Co-finger. And I did say finger. See, I'm from Michigan, and I'm from the tip of the finger. The reality of time from infinity to infinity is not as you are perceiving it, is my best estimation. Based on meeting millions of you around the planet over the last 5 decades in this incarnation. Google extinction number 6 and start to drill down. Stop buying the minutia crap that people have been feeding you about religion and politics, because it's all a bunch of horse shit. I grew up in politics. I was born in the book of who's who's for world leaders, who's who in American politics, who's who in North American politics, who's who in Michigan politics, who's who in go fuck yourself. Religious leaders, people high in faith and politics and leadership. My great-grandfather was a knight and a seated person on Parliament. And in 1898, after meeting with Marx when the manifesto was being done, and secret meetings were being held in London and in Germany and Russia with the Bushes and the Trumps and the Kennedys and the Gardners and many others. I've seen the family documents. I've looked at the archives. And in the archives, I found in 1898 an English newspaper. I don't remember if it was the Telegraph or which one it was. But anyway, whatever the big paper was at the time, a picture of my grandfather, Augustus James Gardner, knight and lord. Was renouncing his lordship and his knighthood and his seat on Parliament, and was leaving for the New World in America to seek out his fortune and his future for him and his family, and was renouncing the tyranny of the crown and the Queen. Ballsy move in 1898, especially since he was still in the country when the paper came out, and somehow secretly got out on an expedition that was a private charter. But when you're of wealth, or extreme wealth, you can get away with all kinds of bullshit. There are those of us who have been in those dynasties or entities or heritages or shields or whatever you want to label put on it, through birth. And by the way, none of us chose this. I'm sure there are some Bush daughters that wake up and go, oh God, how did I get here? Couldn't you have done better? Maybe I could have been it. Whatever. Get over it, folks. It is what it is. But what you can do is implement change and accept imperfections or renounce or whatever it is you do. I've divorced most of my family. I didn't marry them. I didn't friend them. I didn't like them. They were just there. Kind of like history. It's just there. Unless you dig deep and realize that, there's been dysfunction over the years. My family, oh yes, we're related to royalty and presidents and bishops and whatever. I'm sorry, just flash. Isn't it ironic that Christian holidays fall on the same day as satanic holidays, and probably, there's an overlap with Muslim and other religions covering same holidays? Is that so everybody's doing their own sacrifices and devices and things so nobody can F with each other that day? So we put them all together, and then you don't have somebody, going after somebody because they're doing rituals or sacrifices or offerings while the other ones aren't. They're preoccupied. This is all premeditated minutia. Oh, how Matrix is that? Life is more like the Matrix than it is about what your religion is. You don't get 72 virgins, and why would you want 72 beginners? I don't know, maybe you're an instructor, right? For hurting other people. And if you're an arduous piece of work with everyone most of your life, and I found religion, and forgive me, Master. Right. Forget what your teachings are and start to realize in your own self, with your own God, the realities of infinity to infinity and beyond the physical and the metaphysical and the spiritual. Go beyond even all of that. Because those are, again, just labels for categories and food groups or concepts or facts as according to we have researched them. So now it's real. It's not a theory anymore. Get beyond all of that. Open your mind to the possibilities. There are realms beyond your senses that you're even aware of. That you have other senses even beyond those, and that your ability to learn and grow and become even more brilliant every day is only impaired by you and the minutiae you let get in your way. So focus. There are those of us who rarely sleep. Einstein, there's a long list. Edison, people who catnapped a lot, or went for days on end by human standards, and then may have crashed for hours on end to a normal human standard. Oh, maybe they slept 8 hours, or maybe they did 10, or 12 because they had been up for a week. But then they were back at it and taking cat naps and going for days on end again. I have a lifetime to live, this lifetime, in this moment. I have an eternity to be accountable for. My actions through each moment of every existence I've ever known. This is extinction 6 on this planet. There were other life forms on the planets here, but that's a whole other story. You'd have to dig real deep into archives to even get that data. And most of it's so classified, you'll never be able to see it anyway. And then there are those of us who know it, who have read it, who have seen the data, who have seen the empirical research, and the factual information, and even know that NASA, never a straight answer, has already been to the next universe over and knows there are at least 7 planets they've discovered already that support life like Earth. Go figure. Whatever you've seen on television and film was only conditioning for the future. Star Trek, hey, beam me up, Scotty, lasers, etc. We have lasers. We're using those. We had them then. We were using them. Telecommunicators, ways to communicate that were being used in military and not in the public sector yet. Even the intranet, the ARPANET, way before internet, back in the 50s. Go figure. So, things that are labeled as sci-fi aren't always sci-fi. They're just getting you prepared for the future of what already is. Get your head around that concept. So, maybe from this moment forward, at least try it for a day. I challenge you to do a whole year. 10 years of being open to every new possibility. Don't prejudge people. That's tough, especially when you've been ripped off as much as me. Be open that this next individual might be an angel worth saving, someone you can help. Not that they can help you. There may be that benefact also, and that's beautiful. But stop looking at what's in it for me. If I had done that my whole career, although there are those who think I did because I had some of the tightest contracts ever at the networks, I was the only guy allowed to be talent and management and involved in research and the programming and promotions and the budgeting and overall sound and infrastructure, the whole presentation from logo design down to I's and T's. Perfectionist, and allowed to still work through the entire network at the other O&Os, putting in their research and computerizing systems that none of them had before I got there at ABC, NBC, CBS. I was that kid. And also the person who developed the call-out research with many other geniuses. I'm not taking credit that these were all mine. I worked on teams with people. I love the challenge of working with teams because then you raise to higher levels. There are those who go into the competitive field and try and find lesser than to compete with. Hell no. I want the best anywhere on the planet or wherever you came from. Aliens to me aren't from other countries. They're from other planets and universes. Whole different concept. Another conversation another time. Get your head around the fact that maybe most of the things in life you have been taught and learned have similar meanings, or there are some truths to them about consequences, this, that, and the other, but most of it is nothing more than Disney fairy tales. The creator? Yeah. Heaven, hell concept, good, evil, yin, yang? Yeah. Purgatory? Really? You need a way station to determine if you could get better in limbo? No, that would be you flunked, do it over again. And as you progress from infinity to infinity and go to higher levels and open up the expanses of your intelligence and your feelings and your being and your perceptions and get over your hatred and your bias and your greed and your jealousy and your self-indulgence and your moralistic, materialistic horseshit. and see the sense of purpose in gifting and helping others and being of service, regardless of self, in spite of self, at expense of self, you receive even greater gifts than you could even imagine. I know this to be true and self-evident by decades of experiences and donating uncounted millions of hours of time and dollars and beyond to charities, producing telethons, radiothons, doing endless hours, marathon hours, 36 hours of broadcast of radio, television, and other media outlets, satellites, etc., to raise money for children's research, St. Jude's, AIDS, cancer. Pick a charity. I've worked with them all once when they've asked, until they burned me or find out they lied about their books. It wasn't really a charity. It was more like a for-profit organization. I didn't say anything, Jerry. Anyway, today, what can you do different to be of service to others and a greater purpose, and to put yourself as selfless, because you already have enough, even when you have so little or so much, because it's only a measurement of standards against certain realities. And it's not in the materialistic giving, it's in the giving of self to be available to others that is the true genius of giving. It's not in what you give, it's into who you give and how you give, and the intent and the purpose and the meaning. And was it of, here, let me help, or here, let me grandstand and show everyone what a nice guy or gal I am. Not looking for any awards. Probably won't get any anyway. I'm sure I've pissed off enough people. It's not about winning awards. It's not always about being popular. It's not always about doing the most popular thing. Who likes to lift rocks? But it is about staying on a course. And you have no one to blame for your course but you. Because while it may have started out reckless, or you were abused, or you had every thing against you since birth, it's not how many times you fell down, it's not how many times you failed. It's about what you learned, and what you did, and how you did it, and the integrity of the intent, and the purpose. And there's so many other things that words sometimes can't even describe. Take a moment today and give of self. Take a day of that. See how it feels. If it feels like yuck, well, maybe you really didn't give enough. Maybe you partially gave. You just kind of stuck a toe in the water. Really get out there. Go in search of someone broken and in need, and not to rescue, to help. Because you have to save yourself. Go figure. I'm Kurt Kelly. Join us at Disaster Relief Inc., an NGO, a non-government organization working for humanitarian rights, doing the Concert for World Peace, May 31st through June 6, 2019. Disaster Relief Inc. at gmail.com, that's INC, or Disaster Relief Inc. for your nonprofit donations. It's an NGO, nonprofit, to help restore the rainforest, clean air, clean water, improve green technologies, sustainable living, coexistence. You can help. Send your donation. P.O. Box 24, 1971, L.A., California, 90024, or 11,000 Wilshire Boulevard, number 1971, L.A., 90024. Or you can call us +1 424 310
9718, 9719, 9720. What are you doing to make the world better today?